세 번째 발표는 ETC Labs의 CEO 테리 커버님께서 Building the Future of Ethereum Classic이라는 제목으로 ETC Labs에서 그리고 있는 이더리움 클래식의 발전 방향에 대해서 발표해 주시겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
These are not mine. In any event, we can go without slides. So I am Terry Culver from ETC Labs. We run an accelerator in San Francisco. We manage a team of blockchain developers who maintain the Ethereum Classic protocol. And we also maintain communities of users, enthusiasts, technologists in Asia and the US. I am thrilled to be here today, in part because this week marks two very important anniversaries for Ethereum Classic. About 3 years ago this week, Ethereum Classic was first established. And 1 year ago this week, Ethereum Classic Labs was established. So thank you for being here for these birthdays of sorts. I'm going to talk briefly about what we do and who we are and why. We are committed to the future of Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. Our approach is to focus on proof of work, on collaboration and interoperability, and on building tools that are useful for this community as well as others. And we're driven really by several global transformations that are currently underway. And the first is demographic. This is a map that shows the proportional distribution of the global population in 2050. By that time, there will be approximately 9.8 billion people on Earth, most of whom are going to live in developing countries in Asia and South Asia. At the same time, that population shift will coincide with rapid urbanization. So most of the people on Earth will live in this region in cities. The second transformation is financial. The people living in these regions will not participate in the formal economy for the most part. They will earn their livelihoods in the informal economy. They will not pay taxes, pay bills, open bank accounts, borrow money, earn a paycheck in the way that people have in mature economies over the last 50 years. And the third shift is digital, something that all of us here are very familiar with. In fact, being here is a testament to our belief in the potential of that digital transformation currently taking place around the world. The combination of these transformations presents an enormous challenge. It also presents what I think is an exceptional use case for blockchain. And our mission at ETC Labs is to help solve that problem. We do this in really 3 ways. The first is we are committed to building high quality, relevant, accessible technology. The second is we're committed to creating communities of value. And by communities of value, I mean communities of people who can achieve financial and data independence, the kind of which can only be achieved through peer-to-peer, trustless, democratic exchange. We also think about communities of value in terms of integrity. Integrity is necessary for a community of value, and we think about the kind of integrity that can only be derived from a truly public blockchain. And then the third part of our mission is to fulfill the social promise of blockchain. We often talk about, and we've talked about here, the technical innovations that the technology will create. And while that's important, it's only, I think, a small part of the picture. You know, we talk about how blockchain may create a new internet, how it may dismantle central banks and fiat currency, how it could reduce networking and transaction costs. For the zealous, it is a radical political transformation for the reckless. Maybe it represents a gold rush opportunity of a lifetime. This perspective, while enchanting, I think obscures an important feature of blockchain. The technology, its community, its potential actually represents changes that have already occurred. While it is and will continue to inspire future changes, the fundamental change has already taken place, and it's social. Blockchain is a response, in my mind, to a fundamental shift in the social contract between people, how they interact, how they transact, how they store and transmit value, how they communicate, how they interact with institutions and each other. And so part of our objective at ETC Labs is to ensure that the social dimension of blockchain and its impact remains in the forefront of people's minds. We are trying to achieve this mission in a number of ways. First and foremost, we are exploring increased collaboration with the Ethereum community. ETC and ETH1X share DNA, they share history, share values, and technical functionality. And as a concrete example of this, we are preparing for the Atlantis hard fork, scheduled for September 17th, which will adopt the Ethereum Byzantium changes on Ethereum Classic. This will be followed shortly thereafter by the adoption of the Constantinople changes and other hard forks as we go. We all know that Ethereum Classic was established in response to the DAO hack. And while this was an important decision and a defining decision, obviously, it's impossible to remain a viable blockchain if you're defined only by what you're not. You need to have your own vision, your own identity, your own reason for being. And we believe that in order for Ethereum Classic to thrive, it has to grow, it has to collaborate, it has to build. Ethereum Classic is defined and was defined originally by the principle of immutability. However, this should not be a constraint. It should be a foundation upon which to build. It should not be an excuse to be isolated or partisan. It should be an opportunity to both maintain the core principles of the blockchain and find ways to collaborate with others. And so for this reason at ETC Labs, we're reaching out to Ethereum and other communities to do exactly that. One other way that we're working on interoperability is in June. We launched Metronome in partnership with Block. And this is an ERC20 token deployed on both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic that allows for chain hopping. That is, the immediate transfer of digital assets between one chain and the other and back again. We also operate the accelerator, as I mentioned, in San Francisco. Over the last year, we've hosted 20 projects in our office. We've provided investment, office space, mentorship, technical support, marketing support, introductions to investors, all the kinds of things that you would expect in an accelerator. And these are not necessarily ETC specific. So while we want folks to focus on ETC, we also want them to be part of other blockchain communities as well. We've also invested in about 30 projects and partners overall outside of the labs. And I'll just mention a few examples. ChainSafe, who's in the house today, they'll talk a bit later, has been a great partner. Whiteblock, which is a robust end-to-end testing platform that tests the viability of your blockchain before it goes to mainnet. Block, which I mentioned. Saldo, which is a remittance service for immigrants in the United States to send payments back home at a lower cost than what they would find with other payment services like Western Union. And it uses a stablecoin pegged to the Mexican peso. Another example is Ethernode. They build infrastructure software and hardware to run nodes on both the Ethereum and the Ethereum Classic networks. And they're just about to come up with a box that you can purchase and use to set up your own node in your own home. In addition to the accelerator, we, as I mentioned, also manage a core development team. We have 14 developers distributed around the globe, organized into 3 teams. One manages the Go Ethereum client, the classic Go Ethereum client. The other is an EVM team, and the third is a tooling team. And I won't go into these projects in great detail. If you want to learn more, let me know, or you can check out the GitHub. But the EVM team is working on a Rust implementation of the Ethereum virtual machine, so this is a standalone Rust implementation. OpenRPC is a way for developers to be able to develop without having to access source code for everything that they want to do. We're working on an LLVM, so a lower level virtual machine, to make it possible for developers to use additional languages in smart contracts beyond Solidity. And then Jade, which is a wallet and service runner and other applications and tools that make it easier for developers to create dApps on Ethereum Classic. I won't go into the roadmap, but we've been pretty active over the last year, and as I mentioned, we're currently focused on the hard forks. Here's a picture of our developers. They wouldn't want me to leave the room without showing them off a little bit. And as we go forward, stay tuned. We have, I think, what are some significant and interesting announcements coming up in the fall. And I think, ETC is poised to grow. And I hope you can connect with us and learn more about what we're doing. We have some time left, so I'm happy to take some questions.
혹시 질문 있으신가요? Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. 저 마이크 부탁드립니다.
Could you do more elaboration on the interoperability on Ethereum Classic, like atomic swap or peace bridge or peace relay?
Yeah, so the Peace Bridge is a great example, although we're familiar with it. We weren't involved in developing it. We're very happy to see it. In terms of interoperability, we focus primarily at the moment on Ethereum. And we look at it in 2 ways. One, in the protocol level, so we'll continue to adopt the changes that ETH1X adopts so we could remain in parallel. And the second is we're very interested in features and applications that allow interaction between the chains. So whether it's the Peace Bridge, whether it's Metronome, whether it's something else, this is something we would look very closely at in both the accelerator and for outside investment.
또 질문 있으신가요? Any more questions? 손 들어주시면.
Okay.
네. 모시기 힘든 분인.
All right.
Alright.
Well, thank you very much.
네, 감사합니다.